The next process that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to write the equation of certain lines. Now, there's two methods that you're going to use when writing the equation of two lines. There's the slope-intercept, which is y equals mx plus b. And then there is this thing called the point slope, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So what that means is you can solve it either way, but sometimes students find that this is quicker. Sometimes students like to just remember this one way. I'm going to show you both ways. So in this case, I'm going to start with my slope of 3 and a point -1, 4. So this is my m, and then this is going to represent an x and a y value. So if I'm using y equals mx plus b, I can say y equals mx plus b. I know the m. Now I gotta find b. I gotta find my y-intercept. So what I can do is I can take that -1, 4, and I can plug it in for x and y, because I know that's on the line. So it would become 4 equals 3 times -1 plus b. Now I can solve for b, because it's my only variable. 4 equals -3 plus b. I add 3 on both sides. I got b is 7. Now I can say y equals 3x plus 7. That is the equation of my line. For point slope, I do the same thing, but I can plug it in all at once. So this point represents x1 and y1. So y minus, my y1 in this case is 4, equals m, which I already discussed is 3, times x minus -1. Now here, that double negative is going to turn to a positive, so y minus 4 equals 3 times x plus 1. Now I can distribute, which is really just multiplying. Y minus 4 equals 3x plus 3. Solve for y. I'm going to add 4 on both sides. Y equals 3x plus 7. Same answer, two different methods of solving the same problem. So one more problem with this. So I have a slope, or an m, of -1 and a point to -4. So xy, both methods work both ways. So you need to choose whichever way you want to remember how to do this. In this case, y equals -1x plus b. I then take my x and y, plug it in, multiply those together, add the 2 on both sides. Remember to write the equation. Second problem, you can plug everything in right away. That double negative is going to become a positive. Distribute that -1 in. Then I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. Again, I get the same answer no matter what method I use. Now I'm going to show you the next step, in which I don't have my slope and I have only 2 points. So when I have 2 points, it's a two-step process. But the second step is what we just covered. The first step is to find the slope. In this case, if I have 2 points, I'm going to use the slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Once I have my slope, then I choose a point and write the when I'm given 2 points, I use a two-step process. So that two-step process always starts off with finding the slope. And if I have 2 points, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my slope formula. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. After I do that, I choose a point and write the equation. So that is using y equals mx plus b, or that point slope method of writing the equation. So first step in here is to find the slope. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So to review, to find the slope, I'm going to do -1 minus 3 over 1 minus -2. I get -4 over 3. Once I get -4 over 3, this is going to be my m. So what I do is I'm going to write it in my point slope form here. I'm going to choose a point, and it doesn't matter what point I choose. So I'm going to choose a nice easy one. I'm going to choose 1, -1, because really I'm not going to change any of the numbers other than this one's going to be negative and I'm going to multiply by 1, right? So I'm going to say y minus, the y value there is -1, equals my m, which I just found, is -4 over 3, times x minus 1. Now, this double negative is going to be a positive. I'm going to distribute this in. Now, a lot of you will be thrown off by the fractions, but that fraction is not going to change. And the negative and negative are going to be plus 4 over 3. Now, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and I get y equals -4/3 x. And then 4/3 minus 1 is really going to be 1/3. If you think 4/3 minus 1 is really 4/3 minus 3 over 3. Those are the same, which is really 1/3. So that's how we get my equation. In my next example, we'll repeat the same process. The tricky part, oftentimes, is if we have an equation that doesn't fall in a slanted, but is a horizontal or vertical line. So in this case, I just wanted to show you, if I give you point P, which is 3, 2, in both of these cases, and I'm drawing a vertical line is going to be like that. A horizontal line is going to be like that. Now, if you remember from slopes, this has no slope or undefined slope. This slope equals 0. So this has literally no slope, it's flat. This one is an undefined slope because I can't actually calculate it because it's a number over 0 and I can't calculate it. These equations, if you know them, are actually quite easy. What you'll notice is all of these points on this line, if I start listing them, this is 3, negative 5, 3, negative 4, 3, negative 1, 3, 5. What you'll notice is all of these, the y's are changing, but the x's are going to be the same. So the equation of this line is x equals 3. So any vertical line is x equals a number. Any horizontal line, you'll notice, this one, negative 4, 2, negative 1, 2, 3, 2. The things that are changing are the x's. What's staying the same is the y. This is y equals 2. So any horizontal line is y equals a number. So anything that has a 0 slope is y equals a number. Anything that has no slope or an undefined slope, it's x equals that number. For slope-intercept or any of these linear functions, you're always going to be asked some application problems. For linear functions, or y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form, you're going to be asked a lot of application problems, such as this, where sometimes they will give you an equation. Now they gave it c and m. C and m are really just y and x. They just represent time as minutes and c as costs. So get used to seeing different letters other than y and x. In this case, you're going to graph it the same way, but sometimes the numbers don't always seem nice. So here are some tips on this. So first off is to find the y-intercept. The y-intercept is always that initial cost or that initial fee that you get charged. In this case, it's $4.95. And it is that per month charge that you're going to get no matter what, if you use it no minutes or if you use 100 minutes. You're always going to get charged $4.95. Now, it's going to be hard to graph that. What you got to do is you got to estimate. It's going to be somewhere between 4 and 6, really close to that 5 mark. I'm going to skip the graphing the equation right now. And I'm going to go into the if you talk 140 minutes, what is your monthly cost? All you're going to do is if you have this equation All you're going to do is you're going to take this and you're going to plug it in for the amount of minutes. Now the reason why I skipped B is when you calculate this out, you're going to get my cost is $11.95. That represents a point. It represents the point 140, comma 11.95. Well, I can plot that point on here. I know 140 is here. I know 11.95 is really close to the 12 mark. The minute I have 2 points, I can now plug in and graph my line. The 0.05 over 1, if you're trying to graph it using rise over run, they're not going to work in this case because the axes, the minutes are going up by a different value than the costs are going up by a different value. So my suggestion to you on these types of problems is to find a point that's nice and easy, like 140, or in this case, you can also choose 100, plug it in, find a second point, and plot it and connect it. In this last example, I want you to notice that I give you a sentence and it has nothing to do with graphing or has a graph with it. What you're going to do is you're going to write a linear equation, which means in this case, I want you to write it as y equals mx plus b. Well, what you need to notice is that I gave you 4 numbers, and those 4 numbers represent 2 points. So if I say the cost of 7 dance lessons is $82, that means that my x, my first variable, is going to be dance lessons, and my y is going to be cost. So the amount of dance lessons affects how much it costs, just in real terms. So this first point, this first sentence represents 7, 82. Well, the next sentence says 11 lessons cost 122. Well, once I have 2 points, my first step is to find its slope, its rate of change. So I do 122 minus 82 over 11 minus 7. I get 40 over 4, which is 10. Which means this is $10 per lesson. That is what that slope means. It's $10 per every 1 lesson. Well, now I have to write my linear equation. How do I do that? I have to plug it back in here. So I'm going to do y equals 10x plus b. I'm then going to take this. I'm going to take this point right here. I'm going to say this is x and y. 122 equals 10 times 11 plus b. 10 times 11 is 110. So my b is going to be 12. So my equation for this is y equals 10x plus 12. Well, I've found my linear equation. Now I have to answer the question. So find the total cost, C, for L lessons. So I can rewrite this as C equals 10L plus 12, number of lessons, total cost. Then use it to find how much it's going to cost for 4 lessons. Well, that just means I'm going to take the 4 and I'm going to plug it in here. So C is 10 times 4 plus 12, 40 plus 12, which is $52. So it's all the same process. You just have to find the 2 points, find that slope, and then plug it into the equation. And you can do that a lot with any of those application problems.